Greetings one, greetings all. It is a seminal day in the English language, in the history of the English language. The 1 millionth word has been identified. And really, I'm a bit upset about it, and I'll tell you exactly for why. Okay, well, what is the word that they've chosen, that the company has chosen to be the millionth word in the English language? It is actually called Web 2.0. Which doesn't sound like a word. Well, some of it's a word and the other bit's a number, isn't it? But what they say is it's a marriage of words and numbers, and that is appropriate to become a word in its own right. But they've passed over some absolutely superb words in order to pick Web 2.0. First word I should mention, and it's on everybody's lips at the minute, is Slumdog. Many people will have seen the film Slumdog Millionaire, and it comes from that. It's a child who lives in the slums, presumably of India. Everybody really, when they hear the word, basically knows what it means, having seen the film. But the other word is quite an important word that they've passed over, and it's used every day by many people, in particular the gaming community. And that word is noob. Which, when we break it down, it's short for newbie, N-E-W-B-I-E. And noob is spelt N-00b, or it can be spelt, I spell it thus, N00b, noob. It's used in the gaming community, as I say, things like Magic the Gathering, Warcraft, also, Soma, and in a minute we'll see some examples of its use. I've got to say that noob is also, the way I spell it, a marriage of letters anyway and numbers rather than a word and numbers. So I think it would have been more appropriate than Web 2.0, in particular because nobody uses Web 2.0 anymore, because it's now out of date. Bizarre. Anyway, we'll have a look at noob and some definitions of noob, and we have to go to the Urban Dictionary, urbandictionary.com, and we'll start at the beginning really, and it says noob, an inexperienced and or ignorant and unskilled person, especially used, it says the word noob is especially used in computer games. And they give an example, and the example they give is, haha, that noob got pooned, or pwned. Pwned, of course, is another word. It's a typo of owned, but as P is next to O, your fat finger, your FF, taps the P instead of the O, and you get pooned or pwned. It is a special world, is the world of gaming, and it has its own dictionary, its own language. Okay, number 2, the second description. It says a person who is new to a game is a noob, a person who, regardless of experience, lacks the skill or competence to be competitive in a certain game. It's actually a term of abuse, noob. People get accused of being a noob. Someone who tends to whine or complain about being beaten at the game. He's said, you say, shut up, noob. Often done by accusing more skilled opponents of hacking or cheating. Noobs are like that. One who may talk trash, claiming to be elite at a game only to be beaten down by a better player, or will turn down any games when challenged by better players. That is another description of noob. And of course it's not just a noun, it's also a verb. So how important is that as a word? Not just a noun but also a verb, so you can noob about. We'll have some examples here. To act or behave in a way that a noob would be to noob about, behaving as if lacking experience, skill or knowledge. It is used in a number of connotations, as it says on the Urban Dictionary. It's used as a mocking term or in a manner of jesting. Some people wear it as a badge. It's done in a friendly way in most cases, or as I say, it could be a term of abuse. It's a brainless or weak insult really against people. It's generally considered rude and derogatory unless a person is displaying disregard and general apathy towards other players, and in this case skill may be a non-factor. So there's, it's quite complicated. It's very sensitive word. It's got lots of connotations attached to the word. And we'll have more examples. This noob just charges in enemies and gets owned in the first 10 seconds of the game. That's an example of the word. And as for the verb, look at this guy noobing it up. I've never seen anyone die so fast, so often. That's quite nice. We have to go further down the list though in Urban Dictionary because it goes on and on. Now some heavy gamers would call someone who, a particular player, an individual who plays a particular game less than 15 hours a day, would call him a noob. You've got to play more than 15 hours out of the 24 hours in a day to be classed as anything other than a noob. But some people are like that. Some people live their life in the gaming world, don't they? Normal player, hey, how do I beat X if I'm using Y? Elite gamer, lol lol lol, you're a noob. You suck, lol lol lol. Pooned, get some skills, nub fag. Normal player, what? You see, it's not just a culture, it's a language in itself. Noob is a very important part of that language. I could go on and on. Well, Urban Dictionary does. Noob, an online user who still knows how to spell and uses basic sentence structure. So what it's doing is twisting that on its head. It's saying that anyone who's not quite in the noob, in the gaming fraternity, the 15 hours plus out of the 24 is a noob, and it says that person is still using English grammar. So say for example a noob pings somebody and says hello, spelt HELLO the proper way, then the elitist gamer says STFU, noob, you suck, hate you, GFY. You're going to have to work that out for yourself, but STFU, I think noob, you suck, spelt SUKC. It's important to put the letters the wrong way around. Hate you, H8U, and GFY. I refuse to comment on that, but the first one is go and the last one is yourself. Hey, noob is a derogatory word according to version 5, used to label someone who is new to a particular game forum or server or wherever. Many people misuse the word, insulting new members by calling them noobs. The word noob, N-E-W-B, is sometimes confused with this term, noob standing for new beginner, whereas a noob means one of two common terms: a new member who is acting stupidly, and a member who is acting stupidly regardless of level and or experience. So in other words, a 15-hour plus player who may be just noobing about would be referred to as a noob. Lol, you level 1 noob, STFU, pooned. And we've got, wow, that guy's been here for 4 years and he still acts like a noob. So there's two decent examples. Okay, if we just pull it down to number 6, there are a number here. An insult describing a person who is not only lacking in knowledge of something, but also blatantly refuses to learn about it, and often berates those who would benefit him with experience, often used in computer game circles, obviously, yes. God, that guy is a serious noob. All he ever does is team kill. I mean, that's again, we're using language there. And if we go down to number 7, a player who may or may not be new to the game but insists on doing brainless things, especially things that hinder the team. Those who are defined as noobs will also refuse to listen to words of wisdom, or even worse, berate those who try to help. Noob, I'm going to report you to noobstories.com. There's a massive language out there that gamers use. I mean, I've just touched on one or two. Well, I could go on and on with different examples of the use of the word noob. There are actually 15 pages in urbandictionary.com, and I've used the first page. If you're on the internet looking for what noob means, then you're definitely a noob. Oh dear. Chloe, what does noob mean? Lee, look on the internet. That is why the word noob should be the millionth word in the English language. We gamers, we deserve that. We deserved that honour, and they've kept us from us. Do you know why? Because they're noobs.